everybody, it's the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial from the Death Korps of Krieg army set, and today we're doing the main event, sort of. It depends on whether you like big guns or big horses, because this one is Lord Marshal Drier. Here he is, and well, we're going to be painting him up in the box art colours today, because he's a named character, so that's what he deserves. So, massive thank you to Games Workshop for sending me this one early to build up and paint with all of you as part of the Death Korps of Krieg army set, and we're going to jump in and we're going to start painting. Now, Lord Marshal Drier has been primed in grey sea, and the colour we're going to be using first is Seraphim Sepia, and we're going to be applying this over the top of the horse. All of the horse. Well, all of the horse's flesh. Now, one thing to point out here is that this is the reformulated Seraphim Sepia. It came out a couple of years ago, which is why it kind of acts a little bit more like a contrast paint. It's a little bit weaker than the older one, so it goes on a lot easier. You don't need very much here, so it's just kind of exactly like we do normally with a contrast painting. Just want to kind of finish off each section, take it a section at a time. And just watch out for any large dark pools. If you see them starting to form, you just go in and absorb some of that excess paint. But for now, just want to get this all over. Just like this. So with all that Seraphim Sepia applied, in the interest of keeping things moving, because it is still drying at the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Ratling Grime, and we're going to apply this over top of the horse's mane. So with that all done, the Seraphim Sepia should be dry by now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Carroburg Crimson. We're going to do a bit of blending on the legs around this kind of, well, wounded bit, and over the brand on the back of the, well, on the rump. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the Carroburg Crimson and we're going to apply this all over the top of the feet. Just like that sort of thing. And make sure we get it all the way around. And check from this direction. Here we've got it. And then we're going to bring it all the way up over the top of the knee, like so. Go all the way around. Like that. And then we're going to wash the brush, touch off the water, and then just around the knee, we're going to blend it in by just feathering away at the well, it's not contrast, it's the shade. Like that, just to soften the transition. Just like that sort of thing. So you get this kind of subtle blend from the pink into the Seraphim Sepia. Now similarly, we're going to do this around the wound. So what we want to do is basically just get this all over the wound for now. Like so. And then we wash the brush, touch off the water, and then we just feather away where it transitions between the two, like so. We've got the rest of that leg to do, so we'll do that now. So we'll get the Carroburg Crimson over the top of the foot. Like so. There's a little bit more wound there, but that's okay. Bring it up over the knee. Like that. Make sure we get it on the inside track as well. Get through it at the barbed wire there. Then we wash the brush. Touch off the water. Then we give it the old blends around that knee. Like so. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wash that brush and pop it to one side just for the moment. We're going to grab a small layer brush, because what we're going to do here is we're going to apply this to the inside of the ears up there, like that. That's a little too much. There we go. And then what we're also going to do here is, we talked about it before, we have the brand back here. So we want to just get this over the top of the serial number. When you say over the top, it's more like inside. Like that sort of thing. And then we're going to do the same thing in the Imperial Eagle, and we're just going to kind of let it overlap just a little bit around the outside, like so. Then we wash the brush, touch off the water once more, and then we just use this to just kind of absorb and move around the paint. Like that sort of thing. If you want to, you can also, with the Carroburg Crimson, just take a really small amount of it and just around things like this pipe here, just add a little bit of Carroburg Crimson like that. Same for things like little scars and nicks, just add a tiny, tiny, tiny amount. You don't need very much here on the brush at all to do this. Just want it to be a really subtle little pink hint, basically. In fact, I think that's it. Anyway, we have the back two legs to do now, so we'll be right back in just a second. So with all that Carroburg Crimson applied, we now got to wait for it to dry. So what we're going to do is move on to the next colour, which is quite a big one, and that's going to be all of the sort of dark blue of the coat and of the armour on the front of the horse and up here on the head. So the colour we're going to be using first for this is some Stormfiend, and we're going to be applying this, like I said, over the top of all of our dark blue. Now it's not going to stay this colour, so don't worry too much. For now, you just want to get this over the top of all of these areas. And then once that's all done, we'll come back. So with that all done, once it's fully dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 2 parts contrast medium to 1 part black Templar mix, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of that blue. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of the claws of the horse. Seems like a slightly weird thing to say, but there we go. We're going to apply this over the top of the leather of the pistol holster and the sword scabbard. We're also going to apply this over the top of the ventilator tubes. And I think that's about it. So these things here, like so. So with that all done, I did of course forget about the casing of the pistol and these tubes, dispatch tubes I would guess, on the back there. Anyway, what we're going to do now is move on to our next colour, which is going to be some Gore-Grunta Fur. And we're going to apply this over, well, pretty much all of the remaining leather, excluding the boots and the gloves and braces. But we're not only going to do this Gore-Grunta Fur once, we're going to do 2 layers of it. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Blood Angels Red. And we're going to apply this over a couple of different details. So the first of these is going to be the helmet plume. I'm just going to apply this over the top of, nice and simple. Like so. What we're also going to do is we're going to apply this Blood Angels Red over the top of the power cable on the saber. We're going to apply it over the top of the ropes hanging from Drier in various places, and we're also going to apply this over the top of the saddle blanket. With all that Blood Angels Red applied, we're then going to take some Carroburg Crimson. We're going to use this to shade the saddle blanket and the ropes. So with that Carroburg Crimson all applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Skeleton Horde and we're going to apply this over top of both of our rebreathers. So this one here on Drier and the one on the horse. So with that all done, we're then going to take some Snakebite Leather. And we're going to apply this over the top of the tassels of the saddle blanket. And it's going to give us that really lovely, nice kind of golden brown that we're after. As long as you don't use too much like I did there to begin with. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Cygor Brown. And we're going to apply this over top of those remaining leather details, such as the boot, because you only got one boot, and the gloves and braces. And there's one more pouch on the other side that we're also going to do. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Aeldari Emerald. And we're going to apply this over the top of this kind of stim pipe here. What we're also going to do is we're going to apply this over the top of the other medal, which is sort of half tucked behind his jacket. So with that all done, it's now time to add some metallics. And the first of these is going to be some thinned down Iron Warriors. And we're going to be applying this over, well, quite a lot of the remaining details. We're going to be applying this over the top of things like the sword blade here. Got the binoculars case as well. Got all the little straps and buckles, stuff like that. We have the armour of Marshal Drier. And the kind of mechanical areas of the pistol. And stuff like that. There's quite a lot of silver. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. And we're going to apply this over top of all of the remaining details, excluding his sash. So with that all done, it's time to add some shades, and the first of these is going to be some Nuln Oil, and we're going to use this to shade the silver. We'll start here. We're going to use this to shade the silver, the black, and the blue. Just want to take it down a little bit further. However, what we're also going to do with the Nuln Oil is going to use this over the top of the sash. So with all of that Nuln Oil applied, we then take some Reikland Fleshshade. I'm going to use this to shade all the gold. So with those shades all applied, Lord Marshal Drier is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready, and is looking pretty cool. However, we're not going to leave it there. No, we're going to take it to the next level. I'm going to do this by adding some highlights. Now, the first of these is going to be some thinned down Pallid witch flesh, and we're going to use this to highlight the horse. And really what we're looking for here are the kind of veins and sharp edges scattered around. So with all that Pallid witch flesh now applied, what we're going to do is going to move on, and we're going to take some thinned down Russ Grey. And we're going to use this to highlight all of our blue. So with that Russ Grey all applied, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Gauss Blaster Green. And we're going to use this to highlight the tube. So with that all done, our next colour is going to be some thinned down Dawnstone, and we're going to use this to highlight all of our black details. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Wazdakka Red, and we're going to use this to highlight the saddle blankets. So with that Wazdakka Red all applied, we then take some thinned down Wild Rider Red. Use this to add a couple of little spot highlights to those saddle blankets, just picking out the sharpest points. Just like that sort of thing. But what we're also going to do with the Wild Rider Red is we're going to use this to highlight plume. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Corax White. I'm going to use this to highlight the sash. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Gorthor Brown. I'm going to use this to highlight our dark brown areas. This is the gloves, bracers and boots. So with all that Gorthor Brown applied, we're now going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. And we're going to use this to highlight all of our silver. So with all that Ironbreaker applied, we're then going to take some Blood Angels Red. And we're going to apply this over the top of all 4 of our eye lenses. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. And we're going to use this to highlight all of the gold. So with that all done, Lord Marshal Drier is now finished. It looks absolutely fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the base, and we've got a really simple recipe here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by taking some black Templar, and we're going to apply this over top of all of the rocks and all of the mud. Just whilst we're waiting for that to fully dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Wyldwood and we're going to apply this over top of all of the wood. So with all that Wyldwood applied, we then take some Skeleton Horde. We're going to apply this over top of all of the skulls. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Cygor Brown. I'm going to apply this over top of the helmet and the sign. So with that all done, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors, and we're going to apply this over top of all of our remaining details. And so with that all done, we're now going to take some Sterland Mud and going to apply this over the top of all of the negative space around the outside of the base. Once that Sterland Mud is all fully dry, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Gore-Grunta Fur and we're going to apply this over top of the Sterland Mud and the Black Templar. Once all that Gore-Grunta Fur is applied, it's still drying at the moment, but what we're going to do is we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade and we're going to apply this over the top of the silver. So once all of that is fully dry, we're going to dry brush the entirety of the base using some Tallarn Sand. It's just a little bit darker than our traditional Tyrant Skull. I feel bereft without it. And then all you need to do is add some tufts and paint the rim of the base. And so with the base now complete, Lord Marshal Drier is now finished, ready to lead the Death Riders of the Death Korps of Krieg across the battlefields of the 41st millennium. Our second Astra Militarum character on a horse. We do of course have a video on the channel for Lord Solar Leontus if you're just getting into the Astra Militarum and you want him too, so you're well equipped here. I really like this one. I think it's better than Lord Solar. It's just a lovely model. It's very gritty. It's gorgeous.
If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.